In the news today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, one of the most outspoken defenders of MAGA and President Trump, who has recently had a falling out with the president, has announced she will be resigning, leaving Congress before her term is up on January 5, 2026, another fissure in the MAGA armor. In the news today, 2 National Guardsmen were shot and killed by an Afghan national who entered the U.S. under the Biden administration but was granted permanent status by the Trump administration. The charges against President Trump for election interference from 2020 have been dropped by Fulton County in Georgia. In the news today, 8 months before it's officially suspended, the Department of Government Efficiency has supposedly ceased to exist and is no longer working on creating a more efficient government. Despite criticisms of geopolitiking rather than helping the hungry, after claiming to have fed and dispersed 187 million meals in Gaza, the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, supported by the United States and Israel, has officially ended its mission as Gazan aid continues to be a huge issue for the Palestinians living there. The federal indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and Letitia James have been thrown out by a federal judge who has determined that the prosecutor was not duly appointed. Attorney General Pam Bondi says she will find a new path to prosecute them. With fiscal issues still being a huge issue for his administration, President Trump is expected to update his economic team's personnel ahead of bad messaging and continual struggling economy. And the president is also continually pressuring the Ukrainians to accept a peace deal that the European Union is currently countering. In the news today, lightning was recorded for the first time ever by a Mars rover on the Red Planet. As the Trump administration ramps up its efforts against migration, both legal and illegal, it is now targeting Somali migrants and refugees living in the United States who sent remittances back to Somalia. Some of these funds ended up in the hands, supposedly, of a terrorist organization, Al-Shabaab. The Trump administration is also saying that it will pause migration from third world countries, President Trump saying that remigration is what will really solve the problem, this coming after the killing of 2 National Guardsmen by an Afghan national who was given asylum in the United States by the Trump administration in April. One of the worst fires in modern history has hit Hong Kong, with 128 people dying, 76 being injured, and thousands having to flee, and 11 people being arrested for corruption and battery during the debacle. President Zelensky's chief of staff is set to resign as the Ukrainian government continues to undergo corruption charges. The newly elected mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, says he will indeed work with President Trump after meeting with him in the White House, but still considers him a fascist. And Ukraine still has not agreed to a peace deal with Russia. In the news today, the Trump administration is supposedly leading to select Tim Burchett as the next head of the Federal Reserve, as Burchett has said he is for ending the income tax with the new tariffs being taken in by the administration. The Trump administration has revoked the legal status of hundreds of thousands of Haitians as they target different groups from what they consider to be third world countries for removing of legal protected status and a pause on migration, legal or otherwise, from different areas of the world, particularly with large Muslim populations. Afghans are supposedly in fear following the shooting of 2 National Guardsmen by an Afghan national, and the Trump administration putting Operation Allies Welcome on the chopping block, which brought in, temporarily, legal protections for thousands of Afghan refugees in 2021 at the end of the U.S. involvement in that country. Commentator Candace Owens is claiming that President Macron and his wife were planning to assassinate her, and the FBI was aware of this and notified Owens of the potential danger. Owens has made quite the reputation for herself, claiming that Brigitte is secretly a man. In the news today, for his part in the coup of 2019 to overthrow the government of President Lula, former President Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil has been sentenced to 27 years in prison despite protestations from the United States. This comes as tensions continue to rise between the United States and other South American countries such as Venezuela over continued military operations by the United States in the Caribbean against ships sailing from Venezuela, supposedly drug cartel boats, licensed and okayed by President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, who the Trump administration is eagerly seeking to replace.